All right, so welcome everyone. My name is Bethany. I'm the Marketing Communications Coordinator here at Broadreach. We have Patrick also.
Hi, everybody. I'm Patrick, Program Advisor, Program Coordinator, Broadreach Instructor.
Right, yeah. And the guests of honor, so to speak, are our three student panelists here, former Broadreach students. So if you don't mind, we'll get started. Just say maybe your name, where you're from, and which Broadreach trip or trips that you've done. London, you want to start off?
Sure. Yeah. Hi, my name is London. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, and the Broadreach trip that I did was the Costa Rica vet student program.
Right. Vanessa?
I'm Vanessa. I'm from Fort Lauderdale. And I did the 21-day scuba and sailing voyage and the 21-day alumni in the Grenadines.
Yeah. Awesome. And Luli?
Hi, everyone. My name is Luli. I'm from Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I did the 17-day Caribbean marine biology voyage in 2021 and the Fiji shark studies in 2022.
Awesome. All right, so let's start looking at or thinking back to before you did your first Broadreach trip, when you were still researching. What made you decide to try Broadreach? We can start off with any of y'all.
I can go. So my two Broadreach trips that I did were marine biology focused, and I've always been interested in marine biology as a career. So I decided to get some experience in high school to test it out to see if I really wanted to do it. And I also thought it would just be a really fun way to spend my summer.
Awesome.
I actually didn't know I was going on the trip until like 3 weeks before. So, but we found it right before COVID hit, and I was supposed to go that summer, but I couldn't because of COVID. But I've always done sleepaway camp, and it was something new, so I was just gonna try it.
Yeah, that's awesome. The great lost summer of 2020.
I'm kind of in the same boat as Luli. Like, I knew that I wanted to do something like vet related, animal related, because that's kind of the career I thought I wanted to go into. But I could never like find someone to come with me on the program until I found Broadreach, and I talked to one of the staff members, and she just like hyped up going by herself so much and made it seem so fun that I was like, okay, I'll try it.
Yeah. That kind of leads into the next one. What were you nervous about anything before your trip? And like, how did you deal with being nervous?
I think definitely with like if you don't know anybody on the trip, I think definitely there's some nerves of, not knowing anybody, but Broadreach makes like the instructors and everybody makes it amazing. So that's the only thing for me that was kind of,
Yeah, me too. I was really nervous about like meeting people and not knowing anyone and being by myself, but I was also really excited, and I think the excitement like outweighed the nervousness, so that's kind of what helped me cope.
I was so nervous. Like, I couldn't even be excited. I was so nervous. I just was like constantly thinking about like traveling alone, like being in a like strange like place with strange people. Like, I'm just very much a worrier, but I would say like I don't have a solution to like managing those feelings necessarily, but I would say just like giving yourself a chance and like doing it, because like they will pass 100%, they will go away. But yeah, it's just so worth it to just wait it out.
Yeah, it sounds like if you're nervous, you're not alone. Most students that we talk with are nervous. So apart from nerves, do you have any tips for what helped you prepare for getting ready for your trip, or even things you did, or maybe things you wish you would have done beforehand?
I mean, for my first trip, definitely bring everything on that packing list because there's a use for everything. Like my first trip, I didn't bring some of the items and I was like, man, like there is a use for everything on that packing list.
Thanks.
Yeah,
Shout
I mean,
out to the
also,
packing list. No, go for it.
Another thing that I did was I researched my destination like extensively before I went, so that I'd be like familiar with like the weather and the culture, like etc. Just kind of know where you're going.
Yeah, I definitely say something that helped me was like making a list of everything that I needed or that I just needed to pack on my phone, like on the little check boxes, so that if I went out somewhere or I did something, I would like have it with me so that I could like just check those off as I went. And I think also another huge thing, which is like very popular now, so I feel like most people would do it, but getting your boarding pass on your phone is like the biggest thing ever. Because if your flight like changes or gets delayed or anything, like it's all like right there on your phone, and you also don't have to like wait in that line if you don't have like checked bags.
Wow, that's a perfect segue to my next question, which is about travel day. So had y'all traveled on your own before coming to Broadreach?
I had a few times.
Okay.
Sorry, but yeah, because my family lives like in other countries, so I have done that to see them, but this was also different because I was like really by myself and I wasn't like going to meet someone that I knew. I was just like kind of expecting whatever.
Definitely. London and Vanessa, I saw you're shaking your head. So was
No,
this
I
your
had
first time?
never, yeah, no, I had never traveled alone. Um,
What was it like? How did it go? Travel day.
I would say I was definitely nervous at first getting to the airport, by myself. The first year I had a chaperone, so that was extremely helpful. Because he was there to guide us through everything. The second trip, I was just completely by myself, but it was just, yeah. I would say if the chaperone is available, definitely recommended.
Yeah, for me, on my first trip, like my travel day actually started the day before because I had to take a red eye to New York. So that was kind of interesting. I was just like in the airport by myself at night and then got on a plane and then arrived in New York, which was absolutely crazy. And then I just found my flight somehow and then met everyone in St. Martin. And that was fun because that was easy. We had a Broadreach employee just like waiting for us. And then for my second trip, I landed at LAX. And on that trip, I actually did have a friend with me from my previous trip. So we met up and then we were running around the terminal finding everyone in a Broadreach shirt and like gathering them. And it was really fun. And we were just exploring and like making friends before the whole program and everything.
Yeah, that another thing. You meet in the airport and you just from there it's just like best friends.
Yeah, I would definitely say like just like the meeting point where everyone like just like greets each other. I mean, it's a little awkward at first, but especially if you're one of the like first people to arrive, like I know we had to sit on this bench that was like just 3 poles that were really spaced out and we were complaining the whole time, but it really made us like bond more, so that was fun.
Bonding through hardship.
Kind of jumping on the airport day questions, was it hard to navigate customs? So getting your passport stamped and then going through kind of those extra steps that you have to go through on an international flight.
On my second trip, it was actually really complicated because we all arrived on the same flight and arrived at customs together and we're walking through together. But then when we got there, we had like a problem because the 24-day trip was actually longer than what our like visa was for. So we had to be pulled into like private rooms and spoken to, but then it was all sorted out. So it was like we had everyone and we were all in the same boat. So it wasn't super stressful. It was just like a little shaky, but it was okay.
Yeah, I remember that issue now that you. What about you, Vanessa, in London? What do you remember about customs?
It was easy. I think there's a little form that shows you how to fill it out. So that really helped. I just screenshotted it on my phone. That really helped. But yeah, it was for me, both of my trips, super easy. You just fill out the paper and it was perfect.
For me, I actually came the day before the trip actually started. So my customs line was like 3 or 4 hours long. It was crazy. But I would say that the process of actually going through customs is not hard at all. Like you definitely can't get lost. So that's a plus. But yeah, it's not hard. And I know that the kids who came like the day of the program, they got through it in like 20 minutes. So
Yeah, sometimes it's luck of the draw if there's a bunch of flights getting it at the same time. We already kind of talked about this a little bit, but did you come on program with a friend or on your own? And was it difficult if you came on your own or if you came with a friend? Was it difficult to like meet the other kids on your program or make friends?
I came by myself, but I was worried mainly about other kids knowing themselves, like knowing each other, because I knew that there were going to be other kids on my program that knew each other. And I was kind of like, oh, well, what if they like are just kind of doing it as like their bonding thing? Like, what if they don't want to make friends? And I would say that that's like, it's pointless to be worried about it because we became friends like so fast. And there's really like, everyone's there to make friends and get along and have a good time. So there's no need to like worry about that kind of stuff.
Again, I didn't know I was going on the trip until 3 weeks before. So I definitely didn't go with a friend, but I did have my sister. That was great. But no, absolutely, like I had zero worries about making friends because, with on such short notice, I had no expectations, but making friends was really easy. And with Broadreach, they do like the introduction games, and it was smooth. It was smooth. We made friends very easily.
Yeah, for my first trip, I came by myself and I had no idea what to expect, but like I was really nervous, but then it wasn't difficult to make friends because everyone was super friendly and we were all generally in the same boat of not knowing anyone. So everyone was just kind of like, hey, like want to be friends and just talking and starting conversations. And then for my second trip, I did go with a friend that I had been with on my first trip, and that was great and we got even closer, but because we were the only two people on the trip who had known each other. But we still made like super great friends with everyone else on the trip, and it was just really fun. And also it was kind of like funny because somehow on both of my trips, the like students were mostly female identifying people. Like for my first trip, we had 3 guys and 9 girls, and then on my second trip, we had 2 guys and 8 girls. So that definitely bonded us in the girl power sense.
Yeah, it's definitely the norm that most people tend to come on their own. So sometimes there are groups of friends, but with a smaller group, you have to get to know everyone too. What was your favorite memory from your trip? And if you've done more than one, you can say from each one.
I mean, mine for both. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay. Mine for both were mostly just being around really cool people who had the same interest as me for weeks at a time. And like that was definitely a major highlight because finding people that are fascinated in the ocean is really hard for me in my like desert mountain hometown. But also just being in the ocean and being in this new place was like incredible, and experiencing a new culture that I wasn't familiar with, that was super awesome.
What about you, Vanessa?
I would say my first trip, I had never dove before. So that experience was extremely like getting under the water for the first time. Definitely one of my favorite memories because there's not another time where your first time being able to breathe underwater. So that's an experience that I like. And then, just with boat life and stuff, I think sitting on the boat or, just sitting and talking, bonding and it's crazy because here's these 12 people that are from all over the world and you're sitting at a table with them. You never thought you'd be sitting at a table with them having incredible conversation. It was amazing.
Was it your first time diving too, Lily, when you went on your
Yeah.
first trip?
It was, and it was also like the first time breathing underwater was super cool. And on my second trip, just seeing my first bull shark, but also seeing like 30 of them at once, that was really insane.
Yeah, that's pretty bucket list experience for anyone. What about you, London? Your trip was a bit different than the other two. It wasn't like a diving trip.
Yeah, there were so many great parts of my trip, but I definitely would say my favorite would be the whitewater rafting that we get to do kind of towards the beginning, because I luckily, excuse my dog, oh my god, she found a squirrel or something. Me and my like little friend group that we had started like the day before, we all like got on the same raft somehow, and I just remember like being thrown around and then being like, oh yeah, we're totally gonna like stick together for the rest of the trip, and that was just like really special.
That's awesome. What was the most challenging part of the program?
I mean, for me, because it was like with marine biology, we were learning and like we had exams and stuff, and like getting the homework done was definitely the most challenging part for me, because there was so much fun to be had that I was like, I don't want to do my journaling tonight, but like I had to. And another thing, I was really like anxious about whether or not people would like my cooking, because I was like cooking for the whole group, and I was like, if someone judges my beans, like I'm out.
Yeah, definitely on the cooking, yes, because you're cooking in front of a bunch of people for the first time. Also, theory, that it was pretty challenging because, I mean, personally for me, I have ADHD, so with the, separating with, having fun and boat life and theory, that was challenging for me personally. But yeah, theory is just a lot of reading in general.
Yeah, people don't always expect it with like a dive because it's not
I didn't expect it
college
at all.
credit.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. What about you, London?
I think for me, honestly, the most challenging part was going home, because I was just like, I just had such a great time that I was like, no way this is over. Like it was terrible. But I would also say that surgery was pretty gross. So I don't know.
Can you tell us more about surgery?
Well, it was just like, I don't want to get too into detail because I don't want to like gross anyone out, but it was just like very much for me. I'm not terrible with like blood or anything, but just the whole like experience of like being in there, I was just like, no, this is not this is not for me.
Yeah. It's good to find that out. What about the most rewarding part of your program?
I think after being on a boat for 21 days, definitely, I think there's three for me. All the all the diving certifications, working so hard for that amount of time, and then, your reward is your open water, you're advanced. For me, that was my first trip. My sailing certifications, that was extremely rewarding after learning all the materials you have for it. Um, and rewarding and me being so nervous to go and then coming out with 12 new friends or 11 new friends that I never thought I would be friends with. So that's extremely rewarding to be like, I did that.
Yeah, for me the same, all the certifications and like being able to like go out and go diving on my own now with like when I'm on a trip somewhere. Like I just recently did that and that was amazing. And also like just coming home and realizing that like yes, this is the field that I want to pursue, and I'm like really feeling truly excited about my future. Like that's what really like solidified it for me, and I was like, wow, this is like it feels so good.
That's awesome.
I think for me, I'm also kind of in like the friend boat. It just was awesome to make such like unique friends from like all over the US. That's where my group was from, but it was just really cool to come out with so many awesome new friends.
Yeah, it seems like you've known each other a lot longer than 20 whatever days. Did you feel homesick at all during your trip? And how did you manage that?
Honestly, I did not feel homesick at all because I felt like I was always too busy learning or diving or hanging out and having fun to just sit and miss home. Also, because I knew I was actually like counting down the days, like not to when I'd go home, but like to when I'd have to say bye to my friends and like in the bad kind of countdown. Because I didn't want to leave. Um, and like I did have some friends who did feel homesick, but when they would talk about it with each other and like it seemed to help them a lot, and just like talking to the instructors definitely helps.
Did you think you would feel homesick before your trip?
Not really. I love home, but I love being away too.
I do get homesick. And the most like where it would where it would kick in the most was at night when during the day you're doing a million and one things. You're diving, then you pick up the boat and you go to a different dive site. There's no time there. But at night when you have time to think about your day and what helped me was definitely talking to the instructors and reminding myself that I get to go home. This is only for the summer, this is only 21 days. And so, yeah, I mean, yeah, talking to the instructors definitely helps. Because they are your parents for those 21 days.
What about you, London?
I was really homesick like the first maybe like first to fourth days. I know obviously the first day I was like super homesick, like, oh my God, what did I do? And then by the fourth, I definitely agree with like the night thing. Like once you've got time to like reflect, you're like, oh no, like just like not necessarily like, oh, I want to go home, more just like that sinking feeling of like I'm like, I'm still like in a new area getting used to it. But for me, after like day 4, I did not have any more like homesickness. I had basically the opposite. Like I had a little calendar where I'd like count the days to see if I could like make it go slower. Didn't work, but it was good thought.
It always seems like the second half goes by faster than the first half, right? But
yes, oh my God.
There's always that ticking little 4 days, 3 days.
It goes by so fast, believe it or not. Was there anything you brought with you on your program that you didn't need, or did you need something that you didn't bring?
The first trip, I brought a lot of things I didn't need because I didn't think on the packing list that I would need everything. But on the second trip, basically what's on the packing list is all you need.
Yeah, for my first trip, I mean, also in general, just the packing list is very thorough and it has everything you'll need, like no more, no less, and like just follow that. And I wouldn't recommend bringing anything extra because it's just extra weight that you'll have to carry and deal with, and you might even lose it because you're not using it. And if you do end up missing anything, it's almost positive that someone else will have what you need.
Yeah, I really agree with the like someone else will have whatever you like are missing, especially like I know in my program like sunscreen, bug spray, and like that kind of stuff is so important. But like if you run out or like you don't have what you need, like other people will definitely have it. And I think another thing that was like very specific to my program is more long sleeve shirts. I don't know if that has been changed for this year, but we were asked to wear like long sleeve shirts most days just because of the bugs and stuff. But once you get cow poop on your shirt and you don't have a way to wash it, you're not gonna wear it again. So
that's a great feedback. So that's for the Costa Rica vet. All right. So Justin, after your trip, what was it like to getting used to being back home when your trip ended?
It was definitely a change coming back home. With me being on the boat, you kind of just still felt the motion of the boat because you've been on it for so long. But for me, what I noticed the most is the independence that trip gave me. Like that feeling of like, oh, now I can do this, or I can do things by myself. Traveling, that was a big one for me. Like traveling by myself without, parents. That was very like independent. But I don't know, being not by yourself, but being without familiar people for that long, I think the independence coming back home is like it gives you so much more confidence with everything that you do personally. Like I was confident in so much more.
Yeah, for me, like I was glad to be home with my New Mexico friends and family, but I really did miss my Broadreach friends and family like immediately after. It was really hard not seeing them every day. But social media has been like a great way to keep in contact with them. Like what I did with both of my trips, we made group chats with everyone and sometimes even our instructors in them. And a lot of us still talk every single day. And it's just, they're some of my best friends.
Yeah, for me, I was just like so sad even before I went home. I was definitely like, just because for me it was really hard coming back from like one of the best things I've ever done, and then it's like, oh, I'm going home and that's it, like it's over. And I was definitely like worried about like, oh, I'm like, what if I'm never gonna see like these people again? Like, what if I never talk to them again? Like all this stuff. And I think the people that I don't really talk to anymore, or I haven't seen as much, I think it's part of the beauty of the program. Like you get to have these friends who are like amazing for like that period of time. And like that's just like, it's great. But it's also like social media exists and it's not like they disappear or, whatever. I just went to Arizona for a concert like 2 weeks ago with one of the friends I made. So definitely staying in touch is not impossible.
Another thing that definitely I was excited about coming home was the showers, because for us it was boat showers. Boat showers.
Yeah.
I was excited to have my own bathroom, with a shower and a regular toilet. That definitely the best part about coming home. But, just like London said, just the worry of like the first trip, 2021. I'm about to go on my third Broadreach trip, and we still talk in that group chat every single day. Like, I'm not exaggerating. Every single day I talk to those people. Second trip is a little different. We still talk, but not as often. But that first trip, definitely, definitely some friends that you will have forever.
That's
Yeah, I would
amazing.
definitely agree with the showers thing. I don't know what a boat shower is, but I do know that Costa Rica mainly has cold showers. So getting in that hot shower when I got home was like, oh my God.
Yeah, another thing about the bathrooms is on my second trip, we were all in a house and everybody was like, all of the students were sharing one tiny bathroom. So I was kind of excited to be back home in my bathroom and like not have to wait for the toilet and just do whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, there's like some getting used to there. Do you feel like your program had any lasting impacts on you and your life so far?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, on my program, like as we've been saying, I've made friends from all across the country that I've stayed with even on like long layovers when my flight's been canceled and I just need to spend the night in a city I don't know, but I only know one person there from Broadreach. It's been so great and like fun to see them too. And I've learned like things that are super important just about the world and marine biology and even about myself that I never would have known without Broadreach.
Definitely with the learning, I learned so much about myself on those trips and what I'm capable of, pushing myself over those limits that you may not have been comfortable going over before Broadreach. But definitely, definitely the, yeah, and yeah.
That's awesome.
For me, like this trip totally like changed the game, like changed my life. It was crazy because before I went on this trip, I thought like my entire life was like, oh, I'm gonna be a vet, like this is what I'm gonna do. Like I had like my whole life like planned out for me. I was like, I know this is what I want to do. And then I went on this trip and it was like 360. I was like, I don't want to do this at all. Getting that like real experience, like the real firsthand experience was just so important. And I don't want to like scare anyone off being like, oh, like, am I going to hate it? No. The thing with me is just, it wasn't my path. And I'm glad that I didn't spend all those years in education and like in the field and then realize, oh, that's not for me. But I know for a lot of the people on the trip, they were like definitely going to be vets now from that. So it was just, I'm so glad I went on that trip.
Yeah, it saves you a lot of time and money in vet school. Awesome. Well, last prepared question, then I think we've got a bunch from the audience. What advice do you have for someone signing up for their first Broadreach trip?
Going in with no expectations is the best way to go. And for me personally, with not having expectations the first trip, don't come up with scenarios in your head about what the people are going to be like, because I can assure you 100% you're wrong about how the people are going to be. Because I was so, like we said before, I was so nervous about the people and if they were going to be nice, if they were going to be mean, you know? And I got there, and the second I was in the group with Broadreach, I was not scared at all anymore. At all. So I definitely think that going into a trip like the ones that we went on with no expectations is highly recommended.
That's great advice.
Yeah, I mean, no expectations, just you get what you get and just get excited because your Broadreach summer is going to be one of the best of your life.
Yes, totally agree. And I think also just reminding yourself, like, I know some people get scared off by like the 21 day, like whatever. It's like, it's over in like an instant, it's gone. So definitely let's just like get in there, do it, and have a great time. And don't waste your time being nervous, because there's no point.
Here we are, 7th grade me. Not now, but my first summer when I was in 7th. Here we are. I'm going into sophomore year this coming summer, and I plan on doing Broadreach till I'm not able to do it anymore, and then become an instructor. So Broadreach summers are definitely life-changing experiences.
Yeah, for me, I wish I could do more because I just found out about it like during COVID, and then I did it. I've done it the past 2 years after COVID, but now I'm going into college and I'm like, wow, I wish I could have done more.
Wow, y'all are always welcome back. We'd love to have you back as instructors once you age out. See, looks like we've got a bunch of questions from the audience, Patrick.
We do. So some of them overlap a little bit. So I'll try my best to consolidate some, but right off the bat, it looks like we've got questions on sleeping arrangements. So this will both be for boat-based programs and also for Costa Rica as well. So what was it like in Fiji? Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I don't, yeah, if the questions are specific for Fiji, I'm trying to follow.
Oh,
but yeah, a lot of people are very curious about sleeping arrangements. So feel free to talk about sleeping arrangements on a boat or non-boat program.
I mean, okay, so for me, for the boat, it was honestly, it was so funny, and I still think about it all the time. Like we just sleep everywhere. We have our little inflatable sleeping pads, and people just sleep on the kitchen floor, under the table, on top of the table, on the like benches. They sleep outside, like in the actual like cabins where like the beds are, but like everyone just sleeps all over, and it's so funny. And then for the Fiji trip, we have little mattresses that are given to us, and we just put them on the floor and just sleep there. And it's just crazy. It's like everyone's just everywhere, but it's really funny, and you get really close with your friends and people you don't know because you're just sleeping next to them. And anything that you might say in your sleep, everybody hears it. So be careful.
Definitely with Yes, everybody sleeps everywhere. I think the first few days, the instructors are with the rules about like, oh, the boys and the girls need to be separate. But by the end of the trip, everyone, like, the boat is so small with that amount of people that you end up sleeping everywhere. Personally, me, I slept in the cabin every single night, both trips. Um, so I like the cabin, but for the people that were not in the cabin, everywhere, under the like she said, under the table, above the table, in the like kitchen walkway, like everywhere, everywhere. And it does rain a lot. So we always end up on top of each other in the kitchen.
Yeah. Sorry to jump in, but on my boat trip, only like 2 people slept in the cabins. I never slept in the cabin because all of our duffel bags and all of our stuff was just there and there was no room. But on our very first night, everybody tried to sleep outside because we were sleeping under the stars in the Caribbean. It was amazing. We all got dumped on at 2 a.m. So everybody ran inside and just like shivering and like all wet. And it was just really funny. But yeah, that's just it's a learning experience. You know what you like.
Yeah, those quick Caribbean rainstorms.
And how about Costa Rica?
So for Costa Rica, definitely very different. You're not sleeping on a boat ever. So for us, we stayed at like probably 7 different hotels. You never know what your room is gonna look like. So I know I had the same roommate the whole time, Augie. And then the girls had to switch roommates. They got like paired up for like the times that we would stay at each place, and they would have to switch roommates every time. I'm pretty sure for the most part they would get their own beds, but sometimes when we would stay at like hotels like that were more impromptu or just didn't have enough space, they would have to share a bed. But no one really minded. The beds were always like super comfy and well made and great. Augie and I never had to share a bed though, so that was cool for us.
Awesome.
All right, let's see. We can ask a few questions on. So speaking of showers, living on a boat, did you ever get seasick?
I grew up on the water. We always had a boat. I literally grew up on the water. I got seasick for the first time at Broadreach. Um, I mean, everybody kind of makes a joke out of it, you know. It was take those seasickness pills. It'll help you.
The Dramamine is a
Mhm.
lifesaver. Yeah, no, same. I'd never been seasick before my Broadreach trip. And then it was kind of getting on the boat at first. It was like it was very flat, but it was just weird because the boat was always kind of moving a little bit. And then I only got really seasick on our sailing days, because the waves are like super choppy and big. And then the way to avoid it, I think, is don't be inside the boat. Be like outside in the air, just like look at the horizon. What my friends and I would do, we would take naps on the bow of the boat, and we just like get our suntan on just while we're sailing. And that's how we all avoided our seasickness. But everyone who went inside to avoid seasickness were the ones that got the most seasick.
Good advice.
Yeah, we've never sent a student home for being seasick. I will put that in there as a caveat. Yeah, sometimes it takes a little bit of getting used to. When it comes to food, this is for all our panelists. Any issues with food allergies? Any issues with food in general? What was that like?
No, it's very accommodating to whatever you need, gluten, allergy, dairy, you don't eat meat. It's very, very accommodating. But for me with eating everything, the food was pretty good for living for boat food made by students. It was actually, and after a long day of diving and sailing, that food has never tasted better.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. it's super accommodating. If anybody has any dietary restrictions or any needs or anything, we're all aware of it. We all know what recipes to use, what not to use. All the ingredients in the fridge are just stocked up and like meant for the group, and it's really good. Like some of the recipes are like kind of interesting, like 3-bean chili. that never went well every time we tried to make it, but everything was really good. And like Vanessa said, after a long day of super fun activities, everyone's just hungry and will eat anything.
I know for like me, we did not have to make any of the food ever. I feel like that would have gone down very poorly. We always either ate out or just had the wherever we were staying provide the food for us, which was really nice because you never really have to worry about you know, certain like dietary things. I'm personally a vegetarian, and I was fine eating whatever the whole trip. So
All right, sounds good. Let's see. Right. Do we have any recommended shampoos or conditioners or body washes? I can't answer this when I don't have hair, so I'll
Yes.
leave it to you all.
for Costa Rica, honestly, I bought like these little soap, like shampoo and conditioner bars. I feel like just the risk of it like spilling or stuff in your bags was just like too great for me. So the bars were like life-saving. Definitely recommend.
Yeah, for me, for both trips, I just brought biodegradable soap and shampoo and conditioner because that's what's on the packing list. And also, when you're on a boat, like all of that just goes into the ocean, so you want to make sure it's safe and everything. And in Fiji, also just what it says on the packing list. And then I also just went to my REI and just asked like what's good for this kind of activity, and they're helpful there.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't a specific soap that I used. I kind of just brought the shampoo and conditioner I had back at home. But yeah, I mean, whatever gets you clean after, being doing a million and one things in one day. So,
Yes. Oh my God. I have one last thing to add about that is on my trip, we had like laundry was done pretty like sparsely. So I brought these like kind of like little biodegradable, like eco-friendly like laundry sheets, and it was so helpful, especially if you just have to wash like one thing, to just like put it in the sink and like swirl it around and hang it up. That was like the best idea I ever had.
I would say it's a little off topic, but definitely save your clothes because on the boat you
Can't wash
do
it.
not get the opportunity. I mean, you probably could, but you don't really get the opportunity to do laundry. So I would say stick to like one bathing suit and an outfit a day, save your clothes. Because by the end of
Clothes,
it, it's all like moist and
clothes rationing. Yeah,
Mhm.
certainly having the chance to do some hand washing, but yeah, sometimes those rain showers won't let things dry out as quickly as we'd like them to.
Nothing like a
Um,
dry towel after, right?
Laundry in Costa Rica, since we're on the topic of laundry, that was a question.
So basically, like I said, it's pretty rare that you get to do your laundry. I think that's just like a staple for most of the trips that I've heard about. You for certainly for the first week, you're not going to get to do your laundry. It's just like it's just inconvenient to have to stop and have everyone do their laundry. I know one of the hotels that we stopped at, everyone pretty much had like one thing left to wear, and we're like, please, because we can't ration our clothes as well as you probably could if they were like got wet, because they're actually like you're dealing with animals, so it's not smart to wear something that has been kind of contaminated for more than a day. So definitely going through clothes is a little crazy, but the hotels are usually pretty good. I don't think anyone actually like ran out of clothes. But yeah, definitely bring the little laundry things.
Good to know, thanks. We've got a couple questions on academics, and this also goes to diving and sailing. What were the academics like, and did you feel supported in the process of either learning to sail, scuba dive, or about vet medicine, sharks?
For the first trip, like I said before, since it was my first time diving, the academics were, I didn't know what to expect with the academics, but definitely felt extremely supported. We would go over it together as a group with our like quizzes with each section. For me it was on that trip I got an open water and my advanced. So that's two books about it's pretty it's a reading book. You have to read all of it. But I mean yeah, the academics they were pretty good. And then the second trip was a little different because I did the emergency first responder course, and that's very hands-on, and so very supported in that also with the instructors teaching us and the rescue diving. Everything on that trip had to be very hands-on. So there was a lot less, there was still reading, but it was a lot less because you actually kind of had to do the 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 materials that you were learning. But yeah, I mean the theory and the books, it was a learning trip, you know?
Great. How about for Caribbean marine biology, Fiji sharks, and
Yeah.
Costa Rica? How'd the academics feel?
Well, for me, it was definitely like I'm so interested in the subject, so it was really fun. We had a lesson almost every day from our marine bio instructor that was with us, and it was all really informative. We all were taking notes, and then every night we'd have a question, and we'd have to write like a page-long little short essay regarding that question based on the notes we took and just the lesson in general. And then we'd have a midterm and a project sometimes, or at a project on the Fiji trip, not on the marine bio or on the Caribbean trip, and then a final. And those were all very just based on your notes, based on what we talked about, what we were learning. And then at the end of it, you get either 2 or 3 college credits. So it definitely says something about the level of education, but it's definitely doable. And if it's not, the instructors are super flexible and really easy to talk to about the material.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with like the college credit thing. I think for my program for CRVS, it's like three college credits. So I think the academics was definitely something that I was worried about going into the program, like, is this just going to basically be like school? But it was not. Shout out to Daniel, best instructor ever. I think definitely having an instructor, I think it depends on your instructor. I know the last group had a little bit of like a tougher academic wise time, but for us, it was really just like straightforward. Like we had a lesson pretty much every day. And the lessons were pretty packed. Like it wasn't chill, but it wasn't like stressful. And I think also with Daniel, and I don't know how many other instructors, it was kind of like his first time teaching like this kind of audience. So being able to like talk to your instructor and just like say, could you go over this part again or whatever is definitely important, especially when you're taking such dense amount of like notes and learning stuff like that. It's very important to just like recollect yourself. But it was not hard. I mean, I'm not the greatest student, but I did well in that course. And it's also just, it's fun and engaging, and you're also learning what you're talking about. So it's not like you're just like being thrown into this lesson. It's like, oh, we're going to learn about dogs and learn all this stuff. It's like you actually go do it first. And then it's kind of like a reflection, like, what did we learn today? This is this and this is that. So it's not hard. It's just kind of, it's just academics and it's fun. For the homeworks and the tests, homeworks were not bad at all for our group. Pretty straightforward. Like if you get homework at school, it's probably like a little easier than that. And the tests, probably like same school level, like challenging, but it's not like there are going to be things thrown in there that you've never learned or you've never done or stuff like that. So I would say it's pretty much impossible to fail. So that's a plus.
Yeah,
I
have
think-
some.
Go ahead.
You go. No, you go.
I would like to add, with academics, I have dyslexia. So the reading was challenging for me, but the instructors were very, very accommodating to that. And they, if I needed help to read a page or two, they would help and step in. So I don't want another, if there's someone in the audience, you know, you're supported, you're supported with any academic.
Yeah. I had another little thing to add about the scuba certification and also sailing certification. So same thing with Vanessa, the scuba, it was very interactive because we're learning all of it in the water and then we're going over it in the books and stuff. And it's really good. And then like the quizzes and everything is very straightforward. And then for the sailing certification, I mean, we didn't really have any sailing lessons except for one knots lesson, but we were learning everything we needed to know on our sailing days with our skipper, and we were just talking with him, and he was telling us to do stuff as we were going, and it was kind of stressful sometimes because he's like, do this really fast, and we're like, oh my gosh. But it was so much fun. And then at the end, we just had one short little test, and then we were certified. So
That's fantastic. Let's see. We have got a couple questions on free time. So we'll did you have any free time and what did you do during your free time?
in my free
We-
time, oh,
No, go.
I mean, most of us, we just spent like the first chunk of our free time doing our assignments because that's it's mostly given for, and it's a good time to get it done. And then afterwards, you just hang out with your friends, play card games, just talk, or just go swimming. Like it's really just free time. It's up to you. You can read a book. I brought books. That was really good to do, but
Yeah, I would just say with free time, your assignments, work on, you know, or even just reading ahead maybe. Um, but definitely free time, jumping off the boat, always my favorite thing to do on free time is just jump in the water, hang out at the front of the boat with all of your new friends. Yeah, it's pretty fun.
I think for CRVS specifically, there was kind of like a joke of like CRVS has no concept of free time, which it's not like a bad thing that you don't have that much free time. It's actually it's more of like the free time that you would have are being packed with like other kinds of activities like whitewater rafting, zip lining, waterfall rappelling, like going to the like hot springs, like that kind of stuff. So it's free time, but it's not like free time. But I would say that the times that you do get free time, you're studying, which I don't want to make it sound boring because you're not like studying, but you're either studying or I think one time one of our buses got like turned around or something. So we had like a couple hours of free time and no one really knew what to do. So we all like watched a movie or like slept. But you're always having fun, so it doesn't really matter.
All right. Let's see. We've got 3 more questions. Can we have our earrings in or should we take them out before we go?
I can speak for this because my piercings are like, I have 3 on this side and 2 on this side, and they all close up if I take my earrings out. So what I did, I didn't have big dangly earrings like what I usually wear, but I kept studs in all the time, and they just don't get in the way and they don't fall out and they're really easy to take care of. So bring studs if you're worried about your holes closing up. But I had friends who just didn't wear earrings and it was also fine. So it's just preference.
I would say for me, on the trip that I did with all the scuba and sailing and all this stuff, definitely on the second trip, zero jewelry. Nobody brought anything. It wasn't an environment that you would bring jewelry to, you know. But yeah, like she said, if you're worried about them closing, just some clear studs is probably the best option.
Right. 2 questions. Did anyone see a shark on a non-shark focused trip?
Yeah, I mean, on the first trip I did, which was just general marine bio, like we had 2 different dive groups because it was a big group, or 2 dive times, and on one of my dives, it was the only dive where we saw a little black tip reef shark. And that was the only time anyone saw a shark on that trip. And then on the other one, obviously we saw sharks.
Yeah. But they were like small, like little reef sharks or, nurse sharks. Nothing like the Fiji trip.
Yeah, they're not as abundant as movies would have you believe.
Yeah, and they also just leave you alone. So if you're worried about them, just admire from a distance, and it's like one of the coolest things.
Everyone gets really excited when you see a shark. So
No sharks in Costa Rica, London?
Not that I saw, but you never
Okay.
know.
They might have been there. You never know. It's true. All right. Last question for the group. What were you most surprised by?
I think the amount of fun that I had, because I knew I was going to have fun, but I didn't know it was going to be that much fun, and how life-changing my trips were. Because I think about them like every day, because I'm talking to my friends every day from those trips, and it's just so much that, I don't know, it's something you like would never experience without taking a trip like this.
Definitely, yeah. The Again, going back, the people, it really is everything. It was what, again, I've said this a bunch of times, meeting these people that you didn't know they existed, these 11 people who turn into your literal best friends, like your siblings. You're living basically on, well, for the boat trips, you're basically living on top of each other. It's a small, I mean, it's not a small boat, but for that many people. Um, but I mean, yeah, there's how impacted I was by having such amazing instructors and people, and then just the impact that it had after. Again, it made me love diving, wanting to be more than just a camper. I want to be able to teach. I want to be an instructor. I want to be part of that experience on the other end. Incredible, life-changing. It was a dream.
On a slightly more delicate note, I found out that I'm really good at wrangling cows. So that was definitely cool. And I'm also great at giving vaccines. Who knew? I think what surprised me the most is just like how everyone kind of finds out that they have like these unique abilities that, like, where else are you going to learn that you are great at wrangling cows? Like, it's not really something that you can just walk out and do. You really have to be like in a program like that to find out that you're good at stuff like that. So definitely surprising.
Another thing that I found out that was surprising was like my first few dives is how hard it is to maintain buoyancy. It was so difficult, but I think I got it eventually.
That's always a tough one.
Mhm. Oh yeah, even as a dive instructor, it's a tough one to teach.
Great. Thank you guys so much. You've been amazing. Really appreciate you taking the time to be here. Our panelists, we're so happy to have you as part of the Broadreach family. And also for everyone that's here in the audience, we're super excited to see you this summer if you're joining us this summer. And thank you, if not, for taking the time to join us this evening. If you have other questions, think of them, feel free to reach out to us, send us an email or give us a call. We love talking about our trips. And thanks again. Have a good night, everyone.